Welcome to the Red Text,
a crossroads of the holy and heretical.
Join us now for another episode in Unholy Communion.
Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Red Text podcast. How you doing today, Fonzie?
Pew, 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 pew. Yeah, I'm doing pretty. You know what? Today's actually a pretty good day. I'm having a good day. Before we go into anything, I didn't even mention this to Ryan before going into this episode. As some of you might know, we do record these episodes in advance, and the most recent episode right now that's live is our charms, talismans and amulets episode. I would just like to formally apologize to Ryan and to our audience because I am so unbelievably annoying in that episode. So because I was so, and like I said, I've said this before, I don't usually like to listen to our episodes after the initial edit is launched. I listen to it once and then that's it. I was especially annoying, and I was talking over you. I was interrupting you. I was like reiterating the exact same thing that you said. Like it was, I don't know what was going on with me that night.
I didn't even notice during the recording.
Okay, well, well, I'm glad that you didn't because I definitely did. So I am actively trying to do better when it comes, because that just happens to me just in real life. Like I'm not trying to be that person, but it's just like my mouth just doesn't stop talking. So I'm sorry.
You're good. No, I'm the same way. It's okay. It's okay.
All right. I need to learn how to just be more like, okay, give them time to talk. Wait, then you can talk. You know what I mean? I just want to
right.
I have to like actively do that in my brain, but you know what? I'm doing really, really, really well. Today is actually the day that our episode we guested on the Real Witches pod and the Real Witches of End Times with Mana, and that episode came out today, and I listened to it, and it was really, really great. And I was so happy they were getting really fantastic feedback from her listeners, and I was really happy with how that came out as well. So, and also, y'all, I'm on Twitter now.
I cannot wait for the insane the thoughts, the threads, the hot takes.
Hang on, before you can choose to edit this out if you want, but Austin saw it because Austin saw that I followed them on Twitter, and they sent me this audio. Do you want to hear it?
Please.
Because you're involved. You're in this message. Hang on. Let's see if I can find it.
And you wanted every moment.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. I don't post on page. Welcome to Twitter. I want you to know, I don't know if you've had a moment or an opportunity to take a look at Ryan and I's page, especially what I launch as political ammunition against Ryan, but I just want you to know that everything that you say can and will be used against you publicly on Twitter.
that growly cackle at the end was what got me. I was like, oh no, what have I done?
Oh yeah, you opened up you didn't open up a can of worms, you opened up the whole supermarket of worms.
Yeah, it's Pandora's box. I know. I mean, I'm excited. I was on it for probably like a good half an hour today, and it's fun. There's a lot of discourse on it, but it's kind of fun to see how folks interact. It feels, I mean, I'm already aware of this. It feels like a whole bunch of people that hate each other get together and just start yelling just nonsense at each other. Do you know what I mean? That's what it feels like.
Absolutely.
It's a cesspool of people that hate each other.
It's exactly that. It's exactly a cesspool. And it's so funny because like I feel like people follow me on there for like spiritual content, which I do post here and there, but for the most part it's like me shit posting.
Right.
Like the other day I went to go hook up with this guy at midnight and then got McDonald's after and like tweeted about it, and then it got like 20 likes. I'm like, why are you all liking? I'm literally just talking about disrespecting someone's son and getting a McDouble after. Like there's no content here.
Disrespecting someone's son and then disrespecting yourself
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Exactly. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Today was my last day of work because, well, not of my job forever, but before I go on vacation, I fly out to Portland tomorrow morning for a few days to see my grandparents. They live in Washington, about 30 minutes outside of Portland. And then we're also celebrating one of my friends' 26th birthday. So they're flying in tomorrow night. I fly in early tomorrow morning. So I'm stoked for that. I'm pretty much gonna have 2 days in Portland by myself because they're also flying out back to LA before I fly back to San Francisco. So I'm gonna have tomorrow to spend in Portland by myself, and then Monday as well. So I'm really stoked because I've never had the opportunity to have like both a trip with friends, but also like partially solo trip. And have I told you about the grotto?
No, what? No, because I was about to say, I was like, that sounds like a bathhouse or something.
Oh my God, no. Okay, so let me tell you about the grotto, because we're about to talk about protection magic today, and someone who's great for protection in a Catholic context is Our Lady of Sorrows. But I only recently learned that the grotto is the national shrine to Our Lady of Sorrows, and I've gone in the past before. I've gone with my family. I've gone with my older brother who used to be a monk, who's very religious, and I did not know that it was the national shrine of Our Lady of Sorrows until a few months ago. And it's beautiful. They have, so when you first enter, there's like this giant grotto, like in the side of like, I don't want to say it's a mountain, but like a stone wall. And I think it's a copy of the Pietà, if I remember, where it's like a statue of Mary holding Jesus's body. And then you pay like $5 or $10 and you take this elevator up, and on the top of the sanctuary there's a labyrinth. There's a bunch of different shrines to Mary. They have like a bunch of different ethnic Marian statues. So like there's like a Korean one, there's a Filipino one, there's Guadalupe, of course. It's just so beautiful. It's peaceful, it's serene. Their gift store is off the hook, so I'm excited to drop hella coin there. But I'm excited because it'll be my first time going by myself, and it's really like a contemplative opportunity for me. And because I'm trying to build a relationship with Our Lady of Sorrows, this is going to be a perfect opportunity for that. So I'm super stoked for that part of the trip. But I had a good day. Work went by pretty quickly, wasn't busy. I just feel like I'm in a good mood again, finally. Not that I was in a bad one, but like I just feel like I was like sleep deprived and groggy. So I feel like everything's on the come up. But I'm so excited just to have 6 days off of work to just kiki with some friends and spend time. Actually, I haven't traveled outside of California like since COVID started. So I'm excited for that, for sure.
Is retrograde over?
I know Venus retrograde is over, I think on the 29th of January, which will obviously have passed by the time this episode airs. And then Mercury retrograde, I don't know when.
Hang on, let me look it up because I forgot.
Because then we still have retro shade for like what, 2 weeks after the fact?
I'm always retro shady. Mercury retrograde. Moves into Capricorn. February 3rd. Thank God we're almost done.
Oh, sweet. Dude, I have noticed, like, you know, I try not to use confirmation bias, but like I've noticed during Mercury retrograde, so much tech shit goes wrong at my job. So much tech shit.
It happened, Ryan, it happened last night. I was making the promo for our Talismans episode, and the website that I used to make the promos with for the waveforms kept failing. It said I couldn't upload the fucking thing. I was literally on there for like half an hour trying to upload the fucking audio. And then finally, I was like, I'm gonna do it one more time. If I don't do this, I'm gonna go to bed. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning and it worked. I was like, fuck you, retrograde.
So irritating. My phone always acts up. My last Bluetooth speaker broke during the last Mercury retrograde. I know Mana was like, they messaged me because they were about to make one of the posts promoting the episode we just guest starred on. And they were like, I don't know why the like photos keep coming up low quality and da. So they had to repost. And I'm just like, yo, it's this fucking retrograde.
Yeah.
And
they told me the same thing.
I don't know about, are you one to dream a lot? Like, do you have pretty vivid dreams often?
No, I don't dream.
I think we've talked about that.
Yeah, remember I told you I very rarely dream because I don't remember them.
I'm used to having vivid dreams, but not this often. Like every night for the past like almost week, I've been just having the most vivid fucking dreams, yo. Like it's wild. And the past couple of nights that I've had vivid dreams have all been with people I know. Like one was with Austin the other night, and then I had 2 dreams in the same night, one with Austin, one with Francisco, and then I had one the other night with my best friend that I live with, and it's just been like back-to-back vivid dreams. I don't know, yo, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could relate, but that makes a lot of sense. That this is not something that it's happening all across the board, and it happens every single time where folks are just like, what the fuck is going on? And my friends are just like, I don't know what's going on with my life right now, but I feel like everything's falling apart. It's like, it's just retrograde. What are you talking about? They're like,
right.
What? You know,
right.
It's very, but well, I'm happy that we're both feeling light and airy and nice, and not airy, I'm pretty grounded today, but like, you know, just nice. I feel nice today.
I just think it's neat.
I just think it's neat. I swear to God, I'm gonna do a print of you, and there's gonna be like a little thought bubble that says, I just think it's neat.
Please.
I think I want to do one of Austin that just says, it's very that. I think I'm gonna do a print of Austin's just saying, it's very that.
What would yours say? If we had a print of you, what would yours say?
I don't know, you tell me.
I don't feel like you've had a catchphrase yet.
No, I don't. I don't think I do either. I mean, my friends tell me that when they imitate me, they're like, that's disgusting, because that's very me. I don't say it very much on here, but I say it all the time out and about. I say it's very that a lot because of Austin. I say that all the time now, like in my real life. I was like, yeah, you know, it's very that. And I just was like, oh, ew. Oh no. I'm like, if Austin was here, they'd be like, what are you doing? But yeah,
I could see you saying it's disgusting. I
say it all the time. It's disgusting. And I say it very very under my breath. Oh, that's fucking disgusting.
You know what else is fucking disgusting? People's negative energy. How do we protect ourselves from that?
You know what? It's interesting because I think a lot of these synchronicities are just happening at the same time, especially because we're having an episode today about protection. Because like now I'm on Twitter, it seems like I need a little bit of protection.
Oh my God, yeah. Yo, social media is a whole ass, like, not even just wormhole, like portal, yo. Like we were, did we talk about it on the Charms episode? We were talking about it somewhere. We were talking about like protecting your social media with like sigils and stuff.
Yeah, I said I was gonna do a video about doing like a social media protection spell.
Oh, did we even mention that on the episode, or was that just between you and me?
Oh, it might have been on the live stream that we did on YouTube.
That's right. Yeah. So anyone who got to tune into our Q&A, which was a few weeks ago, again, by the time this airs, this will have been a few weeks later. Yeah, social media protection. Okay, let's start with the basics. What is protection magic? How do you do it? Why should you do it? What are the types? Let's get into it.
All right. Well, first things first, I'm the realist. I think
I was gonna say I'll eat your brain.
First things first, I'll eat your brains. Yeah. I'm a motherfucking monster. I think the first of all, protection magic is fundamental, right? So that's something that I think every spiritual magical practitioner should master before, well, not master, but get a really good grip on before you move forward with anything else, right? Because before you start working with your spells, make sure that your spells are protected. So how do you do that? I think the best shield that you could possibly have is just preventative. Anything that's preventative, just not making any space for any of those nasty, ugly things to just don't have room for it, right? So I would start with wards. So Ryan, could you maybe help us define what a ward is and why it's important?
Yeah, totally. I don't have my copy with me, so I forgot her exact definition, but I know you've been reading the book Fonzie by Althaea Sebastiani by Rest of Nail and Prick of Thorn, which is strictly about warding. But if I remember correctly, warding is basically using something as an anchor point to protect your home. Well, this book specifically is about warding your home, but you could theoretically ward yourself. You could place wards around someone or something, but a ward is, think of it like a shield, right? Like when we're doing magic, we're creating ripples of energy into time and space, and those energy ripples are going to catch the attention of, you know, of spirits, of other practitioners. And when that happens, it's as if you're ringing a bell that can't be unrung. So you better hope to God you got your protections up, because if not, you got a whole big storm coming for you. So wards are, I guess in the best sense, I like to think of wards as an object. I guess theoretically, again, they could be like energetic wards you could place, but I think the best magic is when you anchor magic into a physical object. So for example, you know, in our animistic practices, everything has spirit. So you could simply bond with a rock outside and create a ward out of that. And that acts as an anchor point for your magic to create, you know, this magical energetic shield to protect whatever it is that you're telling it to protect you from.
Yeah. And do you only make one ward?
Oh, no. So that's another thing I love that Althaea covers in her book.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, general magic gets you general results. And that's something I never would have thought of in the beginning of my practice. Like I definitely used to be the type to be like, I'm protected from all negativity. But like when you're not specifying what that is, how does what you're programming or that intention you're putting out know what to protect you from, right? Because that's such a gray area. It's so subjective. Right. So the more wards, the better. Now, do you need 100 wards for 100 different purposes? No, but when you're more specific, like, oh, this ward protects me specifically against psychic spying. This ward specifically protects me and my home from curses and ill intent sent our way, you know? So I think the more specific you are, I think multiple wards are great, but definitely being specific with the intention of each ward. And just protection magic in general, like when you cast a wide net with general magic, that just only leaves bigger holes in that net for shit to come through. You gotta really buckle down with your defenses.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I 100% agree. I think it's really important to get as many wards as you feel like that's necessary. What I would probably recommend is your doorways, and anything that connects you to the outside or liminal spaces should be warded. So I would say, let's say for example you live in an apartment, so you'll have your front door, and then you'll have the window in your living room, you'll have the window in your bathroom, the window in your, you know, bedroom, the window in your kitchen. Like, so these are things that folks usually don't kind of think about. So like, it's like, okay, I gotta make sure the door is protected. At the very least, maybe mirrors, right? Like one of my biggest things I always tell people is like, you gotta lock your mirrors, Mirrors are just spiritual doorways, I believe. So mirrors are a big thing, and something that Althaea also mentions in her book is vents, which I never even thought about. And then even like the fucking like where your cable comes out of, you know what I mean? These are all channels that can be utilized by different either entities, spirits, or people. You know, if they know the logistics of your house, they'll use anything they possibly can to penetrate, you know, and get themselves like and get themselves in there and just, you know, fuck with you the way that they, you know. There's one part in the book that I don't necessarily agree with, and this is totally okay. Guess what, guys? Sometimes you just don't agree with something, and it's something where she mentioned that their curses don't happen as often as you think, which to some extent I agree with. I think curses happen a lot more often than never, obviously, but because I do believe that there is like people accidentally curse all the time, you know, without even knowing it. You know, people accidentally hex all the time. People always accidentally freeze or bind all the time without really knowing it. So,
and evil eye 24/7 all the time.
Oh yeah, totally. So, I mean, I think I don't know to what extent she means, you know, about like cursing doesn't happen as often as you think. I think I do agree with the fact that I don't think that folks curse as effectively as often as folks think. Like, just because you're you're a magical practitioner doesn't necessarily mean like you're getting cursed all the time. I don't think that's true. But I do think that it's important. It's just err on the side of caution when it comes to protecting yourself, and think that it happens more often than not. You know, it's better just to be safe than sorry. So do as much warding. And then also at the same time, it's just like those wards don't always last forever. So make sure you kind of keep tabs on them. Make sure that they're charged. Make sure that they still hold the protective essence that you put into it. Make sure that, you know, and also making sure that you're not putting yourself in situations where those wards won't work, you know. So like use your common sense. You know, if you live in not a great part of the neighborhood and you decide to take a walk at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's probably not a great idea. Your wards are not going to protect you from getting hurt. So, you know, protect your body using your common sense, but also your spirit by making sure that your wards are taken care of and that you just don't let them sit there.
Right. And just because you have your door warded magically does not mean you don't need to be locking it. Like, come on now. You, like Fonzie said, use your common sense.
Exactly. Use your common sense. Like, you know, like someone trying to break into your house 3 o'clock. Wait, hang on. There's a magical rock around here somewhere. I don't think I'm gonna walk into this house. Like, they don't give a shit. Even if they feel like, oh, this is a heavy house, I don't think I should, like, no one, like, they don't care. You know what I mean? So use your common sense, like use your head. But what kind of wards do you use? Do you use any wards in your space? Like, what do you do?
I'm gonna be dead ass and humble myself live on this podcast. I'm horrible at warding. Like, I know how to do it, I know what to do, and I know what I want to do, but I just don't do it. But I will say I just finished crafting an oil for protection, so I'm simply just gonna anoint my windows and doorways with that, because that in and of itself is an effective ward right there, because it's to reverse baneful workings as well as just for protection in general. But I don't think I have any actual wards placed like outside of my home right now. I have like a couple protective like talismans and amulets spread throughout my home, but as for things that I've specifically programmed for warding, I haven't done. What about you?
Well, first of all, what we need to make sure is that we're not warding, because the thing about warding is your warding is keeping things in and keeping things out, right? Because it's a shield. So before you ward, you got to cleanse.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So that's part of your protection magic. It's making sure that everything inside what you're warding is not yucky. You got to get rid of it. So with me, I use very little smoke. I use smoke very infrequently because the people I live with are allergic to it, and I have to respect that.
Of course.
Even though I love smoke, I love fumigation. That's one of my favorite forms of cleansing is fumigation. It's my favorite.
Me too.
It's so good, and it's extremely effective, especially if you use guava leaves. Oh my god, guava leaves are like the pine sol of cleansing. They're so, it really kicks anything's ass, anything that's in it. It smells, but it works really it smells, but it works really well. But anyways, because I don't use smoke often, I will use sound. So clapping works really well, especially if you're in a pinch. Like let's say, for example, you go to a hotel room and you definitely can't use smoke. Clapping is really good, you know, getting all that energy out, all that yucky energy out, having the door open while you do it. I have a like a rain stick that my uncle gave me, like those things that like you do this to it. It sounds like I think it's from Chile or something. He picked it up from there. And so sometimes I'll use that. And then sometimes I'll just use like a room spray, you know, that you can craft that yourself. It's really, really easy, you know, with some water and some, you know, some essential oils, like something that's really purgative of negative energy or really bad energy or unwanted energy is like frankincense or rosemary oil. That works really, really well. And yeah, and then also playing really aggressive music that might like annoy, you know, bad spirits or bad, you know, things that don't belong to you. That also works really well, really, really well as well.
Totally.
And then after I do that, I make sure I fill the space with good stuff that I want to stay in there, you know, let the space be filled with my, you know, whatever. You can do that with sound. I like using singing bowls. That's a really beautiful way to infuse the space with nice things. And then or, you know, also doing a room spray. That's also really, really good. Something that you really like, you know, spraying like a rose oil around the space is really, really nice, depending on what feels good to you. And then after that is my warding. So I have a cousin who is a Reiki practitioner or Reiki master, and while she was here, she has these specific sigils that are specific to the practice that are permanent wards, which she placed around the house. So I'm glad that she did that. But at the same time, my own bedroom is like my own place that I like to ward myself. So what I do is I put a little bit of holy water and Florida water onto like a rag, and I seal the door jambs, right? I seal the door jambs, and then I seal the door frame, and then I put a big old cross in the middle of the door. And then with my mirrors, I have, anyone watching the video version of this episode, there are big mirrors right next to my bed. That's my closet. They're like big sliding door mirrors. I lock those. I cleanse those, and then I lock those with big crosses while saying a protective prayer. And that's it. And one of the things that I want to do is like getting the paint that matches my walls, because I know what the paint's called. Getting the paint that matches my walls and putting like a couple of drops of fiery wall of protection oil into the paint, and then drawing sigils with the paint on my walls.
Oh, that's sick.
Not a good idea.
That's such a great idea.
I'm a genius.
I'm astounded that we almost have similar ways of cleansing, because when I'm using smoke to cleanse a space as well as to bring in the good stuff, when I'm doing the doorway of my home, I do what you were saying, like doing the doorway, but then it's funny, I would make a sign of the cross with the smoke like on the door frame. So I mean, like I'm sure that's common with other full Christian practitioners, but I just thought that was a nice little similarity that we do in our practice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of parallels to what everyone does, you know what I mean? And like when you're cleansing a house, you should definitely go open all the doors, open all the windows, you know, as much as you possibly can. Work from top to bottom. You know, these are all things that I've learned, and I've kind of just brought into my own practice. Work from top to bottom. And if you're working from a room, work from the furthest, like wherever the doorway is, start from the furthest wall away from that door, or the furthest corner, and then work your way out. That's how you cleanse like the floor, or sweep the floor, or mop the floor, right? Work from that side out, and then work up to down. And then when you're bringing energy in, right, you're bringing wanted energy in, you go the opposite way. You work from the bottom up, and then from doorway in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. That's how I usually, I forgot where I originally learned that, probably in a workshop or something, but yeah, that's what I do when I like physically and spiritually cleanse my house. I usually, my kitchen is the furthest from my front door entrance. So I start sweeping and mopping. I like cleanse the entire kitchen first, and then obviously make my way down the hallway, do the living room, and then I always end with my bedroom, which like I should hit before the living room, but that's just the way I work. But yeah, totally. Yeah. And the importance of cleansing before putting a protection, because it's like, well, it's like a good metaphor. Like if you put clothes on and you haven't showered in a week, like sure, you got clean clothes on, but you still smell like shit and you're covered in dirt. Like you got to wash your body on wash your body on. You got to wash your body before you put clean clothes on.
Gotta wash your body on.
You got to wash your body before you put clean clothes on. Otherwise, what's the purpose, you know?
Right.
So same thing with spiritual protection. You gotta make sure shit is clean before you protect, especially before you ward, because it's like, what are you conscious of what you're keeping inside? So
yeah,
totally. Do you I'm curious, I know in protection magic one big thing is shielding, whether that's before you're going into an area like a cemetery, or whether you're just going into an area of like crowded people. Do you shield often, Fonzie?
I shield as often as I think I should, when I feel like it's appropriate. So I used to shield all the time when I went to work because I work with people, but I think I've acclimated to that kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't do it as often, unless I feel like I should. But if I am going to a place that I know there's a lot of people and I don't spend a lot of time in graveyards or cemeteries. That's a fucking lie. I don't spend any time in graveyards or cemeteries. My practice doesn't call for it yet. But eventually it most likely will. With the way that I'm practicing now, that's where it's going. But if I am going to I went to a brunch a couple of weeks ago for a friend's birthday, and I knew that there were going to be a lot of people there because it's a restaurant, and it was like one of the first times after this current COVID wave. So I was really nervous, and so like I just wanted to be like physically protected, but also spiritually protected for some reason. So one of the things that I do to shield is I do clothing magic or textile magic. And the way I do that, it's really simple, is I take a handheld like steamer, the things that like you use to like get wrinkles out of your clothes, and I hang up my clothes and I put a couple of drops of essential oil into the chamber where you put the water, and then I use that to kind of shield, or kind of use create a shield with my clothing, so my clothes become like a spiritual bear, or in essence it really just, it's veiling, right? It's veiling, but all of your clothes. I do some shoe magic to protect my path. So I'll either draw sigils under my soles. Actually, I rarely do. I like it. I don't want to do sigils under my soles, only because sometimes I might want to change it depending on the purpose. So drawing on little pieces of paper and putting it in the insoles works really, really well. To protect your path, making sure that the path that you walk is a gracious path, it's a protected path, it's not a path of danger, and things like that. And then obviously just veiling, putting a veil on is a wonderful way to protect your own spirit. So taking a scarf or a cloth or something and blessing it with some sort of essential oil, or rubbing it with some Florida water is a great way to protect yourself. And that's a wonderful way to protect yourself when you're going into like a graveyard or a cemetery or like an old building, because a lot of spirits kind of just like latch themselves there. So it's a great way to keep them off your shoulders, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, those are some ways that I use. I don't use it often, only because I don't feel like I need to all the time, but if I do feel inclined to do so, then I will.
Yeah, I don't shield too often either. I totally forgot to define for all y'all what shielding is too. Like shielding is, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Like you're placing an energetic shield around your body, around, I guess, your aura, you could say. And it just, depending on your intention with your shield, it could reflect energy, it could just filter it, so only good stuff comes in and bad stuff stays out. So it's really dependent. You could mess around with making an energetic shield with like the element of fire or earth or air or water, or there's one, oh man, where did I read it? I want to credit it right, but I can't quite remember where I heard. But it's, like when you watch when you're at the gas station and there's water and oil on the ground, and it creates that kind of iridescent kind of look where it's like a rainbowy like kind of film.
Yeah.
So it was saying
like oil slick, like an oil slick look.
Yeah, like that oily slick look, but creating an energetic shield with that kind of visualization, and it using it to confuse your enemies, or to kind of use it as a form of invisibility. Now obviously when we talk about invisibility in Magic, we're not talking about you not being able to be seen to, you know, the naked eye, but rather being hard to perceive, where like kind of like think of like glamours, right? We use glamours to affect how others perceive us, kind of like this with this shield, except rather than influencing how people perceive us, it's rather lack of perception, kind of like evading the eye. So not make, you know, it's not Harry Potter invisibility cloak, but, you know, maybe moving in a way that makes it harder for you to be perceived by someone. I've been trying to experiment with that shield, but I don't shield too much, especially because, you know, we go over all of our protective stuff in terms of charms and talismans in our charms and talismans episode, and I'm decked out and all that stuff. But if I feel like I'm getting a little spiritually overwhelmed, or if I'm just feeling like my head's a little too high in the spiritual and needs to be grounded a bit more, sometimes I'll put up a shield. Yeah, and then I too don't also yet go to graveyards and cemeteries enough to the point where, you know, I'm shielding beforehand, but I have tons of rosaries and things that I will physically put on before going to a cemetery or graveyard, whether you're doing work or not, because when you're entering those realms, you're in the realm of the dead. So but yeah, no, I don't shield too much. I feel like mentally too, I've gotten a grip on my anxiety over the years, so it's not like I need to shield as much to quell that anxiety when I'm in certain places. I've noticed though, when I go to places like the mall, especially if I'm by myself, like with crowds of people, that's when like I may put up just like a temporary shield real quick. I'm just like, there's just so many people around.
Yeah. No, I hate the energy in a mall. It's the worst. It's very stale in a mall. That's where it's not good, it's not bad, it's very stale. That's what it's really gross energy in a mall. I do like that imagery though that you had about the oil slick, because if you really think about like covering yourself in like some sort of oil slick kind of shield around you, if you think of an oil slick is slippery. It's if someone actually was covered in oil slick, then they're evasive, right? It kind of reminds me of the greased up deaf guy in Family Guy.
Oh God.
I know it's insensitive, but it's funny. It's the greased up deaf guy, how like they kind of use him as like a game every year, and they try to catch him, but they can't catch him because he's so slippery. So where are they going with that? Yeah, just kind of that imagery of like being kind of, you know, like the oil slick. It kind of makes you slippery to anything that might want to latch onto you. I like that idea, because what I think of protection is like fucking spikes, like thorns, and fucking, you know what I mean? That like if you try to touch me, you'll get hurt. So
right.
That's usually how I think of my protection magic, is like it's a shield, but it's like there's like these like spikes coming out of it.
I like that. I also I like the idea of shielding with like a mirror like or reflective like type of shielding of your aura, because I'm very much the type of person where I'm like, if you're sending me negative shit, I'm not going to immediately bestow a blessing back upon you. Like I kind of want you to, if you're sending me negative shit, that's yours to keep, baby. Like that's not for me. So it's kind of like you're going to get your medicine straight back to you. And so I do like reflective types of shields as well, but I like the spiky idea too.
Because I'm a thorny bitch, and don't fucking touch me. Don't stop touching me. Also, what I also like to think of, I was thinking about this the other day when we were talking about like talismans and charms and stuff, how I kind of feel like it's like a security camera. But hear me out. So like when you put security cameras outside of your house and folks try to burglarize you and they see a security camera, it's kind of like a I'm trying to think of the word. It prevents them from even trying.
Like a warning.
Yeah, but there's a word for it. I can't think about it right. I guess, gosh, I'm so stupid. Words are hard. But it kind of like keeps people from trying it in the first place. You know, it's kind of an aversion. or it gives people kind of the aversion, like an aversive, is that even a word? It gives people kind of like, okay, you know what, this person might be a little bit more protective than I think, then trying to kind of attack them is probably not a good idea. It probably just, you know, come back to me. God, I'm trying to think of this goddamn word. Whatever, words have escaped me. But yeah, like, you know, when you see a security cameras are sometimes you know, they keep people away just from being there, just by existing, right? So I don't know, that's kind of the way I see some of my charms and talismans, just like, oh, she's watching you, don't fucking try it, especially with you, because you have a Santa Muerte amulet. I don't want to fuck with that. If anyone has a Santa Muerte anything, like, I am so sorry, I didn't mean to call you a bitch. I didn't mean it. Please don't send her. So don't send her, I promise I won't say it again.
I have a just because you brought up Santa Muerte, I have a funny story, and I don't think I've told it in a prior episode, but it was like, I had some friends over at my house once, and one of my friends like did something that kind of offended me, but like it wasn't on purpose. It was just they did it, and the act of it kind of like caught me off guard, and it was upsetting. And you know, I told them I needed space from them after that night, and da. But then like the night after it happened, like Santa Muerte appeared in their dream. Mind you, it was La Blanca. And anyone who listened to our Santa Muerte episode knows La Blanca is like the sweetest version of Santa Muerte, like the coolest. Not coolest as in wears sunglasses and rides a motorcycle, but like coolest, like cool versus hot.
Yeah, right.
And he was like, oh my God, I almost shat my pants when she appeared to me in my dream. Like, I thought she wanted to kill me. And I was like, was it La Negra? And he's like, no, it was La Blanca. I'm like, oh my God, you got like terrified by like the nicest version of Santa Muerte. But that was just an example to go to show, like, when you have a deep devotion and relationship with a spirit, that in and of itself is an act of protection. And that's actually something I wanted to talk about, how when you get into spirit work, you know, obviously over time you're going to develop relationships with spirits when you're in the occult and in the spiritual realms, but like beforehand, that's why protection is so important, because until you kind of get to know and build your spiritual court, you're kind of like out in the middle of nowhere with no protection. But for me, like, I have such a deep devotion to Santa Muerte above everything else in my practice, that like she will either warn me or take a hit for me, or like prevent a hit before it gets me, because I've invested so much time and energy and love and devotion to her. So you'll notice in all y'all's practices, when you develop a relationship with the spirit, that I'm not saying you don't need to focus on protection anymore, but depending on how deep your devotion and relationship is with that spirit, they may prevent attacks before they even reach you. So that's one perk of having spirit allies, is that they can act as the shield for you, rather than you having to put up a shield every day or do a protection spell every day, you know? So that's one thing I do love about spirit work, and that is always astounding me.
One thing that I also want to say is that with spirit work, if you develop a really, really, really good relationship with your spirits and your spiritual court, they will protect you in times of desperation, where you just feel completely hopeless. That's when a lot of the time they'll intervene, where it's like, okay, I'm here for you now. Like, this I understand that you're completely lost. You a lot of the times where you sometimes think that, you know, your spirits will guide you in the right direction. It's like, no, sometimes they're going to guide you in the wrong direction, because you need to learn this lesson, right? Sometimes the wrong direction, I mean, it's the right direction in hindsight, but it's the wrong direction. It feels like it's the wrong direction, right? It's a difficult, you know, path that you're going. And sometimes it's like, okay, you feel like you're in this state of desperation where you feel like you're in danger of, like, you know, whatever. That's where they'll intervene and say, okay, this is supposed to happen. This is what's supposed to happen. So they are always there to protect you in some way or not, especially if you feel like you've been like, trust me, if like the times of you feel like completely abandoned, gosh, I can't even tell you the times in my life, especially through my 20s, where I just felt so alone when it came to like my spiritual court. It was like, where are you guys? Like, you guys are supposed to be here for me, you know? And then like in times of desperation, it was like, yo, we've always been here, but you had to learn this lesson, right? You know? So just because you do have this relationship with spirits, it might seem like they're not there, but it seems like they're not guiding you in the right direction, but the right direction is sometimes not what you think it is.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about warding your home. We've talked about warding your body and protecting your body and protecting your home. What are other things that you can use magic to protect?
I think you mentioned it at the beginning of the show, but like protecting your spell work, like when you're doing spell work, especially one thing I didn't consider when I began my social media presence and started posting spell work was waiting until the working was done to post not post information, but post a picture or video of that working. Because if you're posting pictures and videos of that working while it's going on, if someone really wanted to, they could fuck with your stuff. So if you're not protecting that, if you're not protecting the content that you're putting out while you're in the middle of still doing that working, which I kind of advise against anyways, but if you choose to do so, make sure your shit's protected. Because like I said, someone could go out of their way to fuck with that you're working if they wanted to, especially if you're like, oh, I'm doing a road opening for so and so. Like someone could be like, I don't like this person, so let me just interfere and screw up their road opening.
Right. Right.
So protecting your spell work. And one way I like to do that, I have so many rosaries, but I have only a very select few that I like consistently pray with. And if it's not one that I carry with me, then sometimes when I'm doing a novena candle spell, I'll put the rosary around the candle, because that rosary's been imbued with all of my prayers and petitions and, again, love and devotion, that it carries that energy in that item. So when it wraps around whatever you're wrapping it around, be it a photo of a loved one or a candle spell, that protection is literally in the rosary surrounding whatever it is that you're putting it around. So I definitely think protecting your spell work is something that should be considered, especially if you're posting it as content. If you're not at least waiting until it's done, if you're waiting for a working to finish and then posting pictures of it afterwards, I don't think you have too much to worry about in that case. But just in general, be mindful of what you're putting out there, because you don't know who has your best interests and not so best interests in mind.
Absolutely. Protecting your content is so important. It's so important. And the thing about it is that it's not even an end all be all, because oh gosh, like if someone doesn't like you, they will do everything they possibly can to hurt you. Do you know what I mean? So do everything. Like if you're not already putting those wards up, you're just making it easier for folks to hurt you. You know what I mean? So protect your content. When you have a presence online, whether you are like us, oh my God, I cringe every single time I say this, because I don't want to be labeled as this person. But even if you're like us and you are a content creator, oh God. But that's what we are. We create content. So I don't know, there's just like this negative connotation I guess it carries. But if you're like us and you are an artist, protect your art, protect your content, do everything that you possibly can. I am going to produce this video, okay? I promise I will, of how I protect my content. Because maybe some of you don't know how you could go about doing this. Now, everything that I'm doing in this spell is something that I just made it up. So if it doesn't resonate with you, then abandon it and find another way to do it. But as something as simple as putting like a small little I came up with this really awesome idea is writing out an incantation or a prayer, a protective prayer, taking out all the vowels, so you just have like this random group of letters, and you include that in your hashtags.
Oh,
so it's not even a hashtag that folks can even like what is this hashtag? It doesn't make any sense, right? But it's just a random group of letters that no one knows what it means, but it's an incantation that you made yourself, and you can put it in your hashtags, and your content is protected that way.
Okay, technomancy.
I know, I'm a genius. But it's like these little be creative, like use these things. Like I told you that idea about using some sort of like editing software where you can superimpose a sigil and like lower the opacity of that sigil so that you can't see the sigil, but the sigil's in the file, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
So your whatever that picture is protected from the sigil that you superimposed in there. Or doing something as simple as, before you post it, say a prayer, say a protective prayer, or even using Obvious. Oh my gosh, what you said about don't post the spell until the spell is over. If you can, do the spell again, but don't do the magic part, just do the demonstration, right? So if like it's a video of you doing a spell, don't put the actual spell. First of all, you shouldn't be filming while you're doing a spell anyway, right? So like don't film while you're doing a spell. That's weird, unless it's for your own like personal digital grimoire, like that makes sense, you know what I mean? But you have to be in like, make sure you're in a state of doing spell work. Because if I was recording a spell, I would be distracted by the fact that a camera is recording me. I want to make sure that the angles are right. I want to make sure the lighting is right. I want to make sure that everything is being, you know what I mean? I'm distracted. Totally. I'm not working. So if you want to do, because I know for a fact, like Marshall, the Witch of Southern Light, they always, oh no, his pronouns are he, him, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So he posts spell work all the time, but he makes it very clear these are demonstrations on how I would do these things. This is not me actually working. What I actually do is way weirder, and it's a lot scarier, and it's something that a lot of folks can't even handle. But this is kind of like the foundational parts of my spell. So like it's only a demonstration, guys. Like this is not what I'm actually doing. It's just like the essence of what I'm doing. So you don't have to post the real spell. Like you don't have to keep gatekeep some of those things. Keep them to yourself.
Yes,
keep them to yourself because they're important, they're sacred, they're yours. Not everyone has to know what you're doing.
Right. I mean, our magic and our spell work are literal extensions of ourselves. So when you're constantly giving that to people, you're giving parts of yourselves to other people. Right. So you protect yourself.
Protect your spell work, protect your content, protect your art.
Yeah.
And even if you're not a content creator, it's just like if you are posting things, magical things about your practice onto social media to share, which I think folks need to keep doing because it grows community. Where was I going with that? Yeah, if you do even if you're not doing it to teach people or whatever, you're just doing it to share, protect it anyway, regardless, because you are creating a channel. I'm a sole believer, like even if you post a birthday picture of yourself, that's a channel for someone to attack you. Right, because I mentioned this before, where they have your face, they know what you look like, they have a picture of you, which they can easily print out, right? Mm-hmm. And they can petition on a piece, they can write a petition on the back of the printout of your photo and do something with that. They have your date of birth. They potentially have the city that you live in. They have, you know what I mean? There's all these, there's a lot of information that you can get from someone just from a birthday post. So protect everything that you post online,
Do you have any recommended books or resources for protection magic for people looking to strengthen their craft in that area?
Yes. The number one I would go to is the Psalms. Especially, and I've consulted other folk Christians, and apparently everyone's favorite protection psalm is 91 and 23. So yeah, use the Psalms. Also the mention. Also, the book that you mentioned before, is it a Rest of Nail, Prick of Thorn, or the other way around? Hang on, the book is in my bag.
I think it's by Rest of Nail and Prick of Thorn.
Okay, we're gonna do this correctly. Hang on. Okay, another book I also recommend is by Rest of Nail and Prick of Thorn. The reason why I'm recommending this, even though I hadn't finished it yet, is because I've gotten a big chunk of it out, but also just the section of warding is incredible. It's perfect. But this is mostly for protecting your space, right? So But a lot of these things can carry over to protecting yourself. Just kind of modify it so that it works for you, right?
Totally.
Sigil work, and something as simple as drawing a sigil on a piece of paper and then just putting it at your entrance. That's a ward. It's perfect for that. So yeah, this is a great book. There's a little bit of protection magic in the book that I'm currently reading right now of Blood and Bones. Really great one. There's also protection magic in American Brujeria. So, and also there's a lot of protection magic resources online, right? So if you look up, forums, or use your discernment skills, please make sure your discernment skills are in the chat while you're especially when you're doing something online.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, protection spells are everywhere. You can definitely get it anywhere. How about you?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So Jason Miller has 2 fantastic fucking books, one of which is specifically on protection and reversal magic. It's called Protection and Reversal Magic, a Witch's Defense Manual. And then he has another book called The Sorcerer's Secrets. I think The Sorcerer's Secrets came out first. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're both great. The Sorcerer's Secrets is more so a foundational book on the basics of starting an occult and spiritual practice, but it does obviously cover protection magic because that's part of a foundational practice. But protection reversal magic, it's great. It gives you baths, it gives you powders, it gives you exercises, anything you need for protection reversal magic, you can find it in that book. It's great. I also love Magia, Invoking Mexican Magic, and Blood of Brujeria, both by City Alchemists owners Alexis Arredondo and Eric Lebrado. Well, obviously it's more of the Mexican side of folk magic and even the darker aspects of brujeria. Gives you really simple recipes for protection magic, whether that's crafting a talisman with the Cruz de Caravaca or creating a powder with kosher salt and powdered chamomile that you then sprinkle around your property, and you just do that once a month, and that wards off brujeria and any magic that seeks to harm you. That's like super simple. And then it's funny you recommended American Brujeria. I was gonna also recommend that one. The Book of Psalms, every psalm serves some sort of spiritual or magical purpose. I personally gravitate towards Psalm 23, which I know it's one of the more common ones amongst everyone, but it gets the job done.
Well, the reason why 23 is so common is because it's a catch-all. It works for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so good at look at my book.
I saw that.
If you guys,
for those of you not on the Patreon,
for those of you not on the Patreon and can't see the video version of this, I'm holding my Powers of Psalms books, and there's just like 60 fucking post-its coming out of it. But that's how you study this. She's a scholar. Hang on, let me try to find 23. Sorry, 1 second. I mean, everyone knows what 23 sounds like. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me like so there's hang on, let me find the part of protection. Hang on 1 second. He leadeth me on the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And thy rod and thy and thy rod and thy staff thy comfort me. Like it's all there, you know what I mean? And it, like I said, it's a good catch-all for all types of magic. So 23 is a great thing. Also, you use Psalm 23 when you pray your rosary, correct?
Yes. So instead of the Apostles' Creed, which I've always kind of just struggled with because I feel like every time I'm saying it, I'm swearing an oath.
Which we both agree. Yeah.
Yeah, which I just don't necessarily hold true anymore, especially when you're saying like, I believe in the Catholic Church, like, but like the spiritual church, yes. The institution, no.
Not really. Yeah.
But yeah, so instead of the Apostles' Creed, I've replaced it with personally saying Psalm 23.
Yeah, that's the perfect, like I said, it's the perfect psalm to... I mean, I personally replaced the Assassin's Creed. I personally replaced the Apostles' Creed with the Magnificat. But yeah, Psalm 23 is a wonderful prayer to incorporate into your rosary, because like I said, it kind of covers all the bases, you know.
One prayer that I've learned, and the only prayer that I know by memory in Latin, is the Saint Benedict prayer, and that one I'll use to clear and protect a space. Like I remember I had a friend come over, and we were about to use, I think we were about to use my Ouija board, if I remember correctly. And I always say it, well, I generally say it 3 times, but it goes crux sacra si mihi lux, non draco si mihi dux, vade retro satana, nunquam suade mihi vana, sunt mala que libas, ipse venena bibas, which is like, may the holy cross be my light, the dragon never be my guide, begone Satan, drink the poison yourself, something like that. But yeah, one, Saint Benedict is a great go-to for exorcisms and protection and getting rid of evil, but it's just something about the power of saying something in Latin is fucking awesome. And that prayer specifically, like, well, I was saying it once when I was with my friend before we did the Ouija board. I just felt my entire body get hot, which I don't often feel like during prayer work all the time, but my like hands and body just got hot. I could just feel like the entire room just being like cleared of anything that could have been lingering. It was really amazing.
Have you ever experienced a time where you realized like a ward or a shield worked? Like you were like, holy shit, oh my god, thank god I had that, because look what could have happened if I didn't.
That's a good question. Not off the top of my head, because I don't think I've had anything super major happen, or at least, again, I just have a shit memory, y'all. But off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
What about you?
That's fine. That's great. That's a good thing. You know, making wards and having protection out is good to have, but you always hope that you never have to use them, right? It's like having a Glock in your house, but you hope you never have to use it. But I can tell you a story. This is way before I started practicing. This is like 21, like I was 21 or 22. I've mentioned before that I used to be part of the drag scene in here in LA. I used to be a fierce drag queen. I was like 6'5" when I was in drag. I was humongous. But my drag mother, whose name you would actually appreciate, her name was Saint Peter DeVille. We were the DeVilles. Yeah, we were the DeVilles, and it was just like a group of like alternative, like genderfuck queens. We were amazing. And we were called Whorehouse. It was kind of like a play on Horror House, because like we were like alternative queens. Yeah, so but we were called Whorehouse. And the House of DeVille. And my drag mother, the thing that folks knew about the House of DeVille were these teeth necklaces, and there were these teeth carved from howlite.
Ooh.
Which folks, if you're not familiar with crystals, howlite is a crystal. It's like a white crystal that has like black like veins or black like strokes inside of it. It's a beautiful crystal, and usually it's associated with peaceful sleep and it's good for sleep aid. It's a sleep aid crystal usually. But everyone in the house had these necklaces. They were like fangs. They look like vampire fangs, and we called them teeth. Like, wear your teeth. Why aren't you wearing your teeth? You should be wearing your teeth. You should be wearing your teeth every single time. It was like kind of like a trademark of the house, right? Everyone had these necklaces. And this is when I was 21, and I used to drive this big car. It was a Toyota Sequoia, which is basically the biggest car in the world. It's like this huge SUV. Do you want to hear a Filipino joke, by the way?
Oh my god, yes.
What's the biggest? What's the Toyota Camry's bigger? His bigger brother. What's he called?
I don't know what.
Sequoia. I know it's awful, but so I was driving the Sequoia, so a lot of the times I would actually be the fucking hearse for the entire house, because I could fit 8 people in this car, right?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I could fit 8 people in this car. So, and it's a big car. We can fit a whole bunch of drag in the back. So I used to bus people around in this car. So we would go to my drag mother's house in LA. We would all get ready there, and we would all bus in my car and go to the venue wherever we were performing. This one time, we were going to, and I never told my parents. They never knew I was part of the drag scene until way after. So I always lied. I always told them I was working an overnight shift or whatever. So I was lying all the time. There was this one time we were going into performance. We were doing a performance in Pomona, which is about an hour away from LA. And I was bussing everyone. We were having a great time. We were listening to like new wave 80s music. Everyone's doing great. Mind you, everyone who was in the car is part of the House of DeVille. So everyone was wearing these howlite fang necklaces, right? One of my best friends was in the passenger. I had a full car, a whole bunch of people. And we finally get to the menu, we finally get to the venue. And we're trying to look for the parking lot for the venue. It's this huge club, but for some reason the parking lot is not attached to the building. And so we were driving around, and there's like these small little streets. And I was turning on a green light. I was turning left into another street, but then a car coming from the opposite direction was trying to run the red light and got into the turn lane of that street that we were going into, and ran the red light and clipped the back of the truck, and we flipped.
Oh my God.
So we flipped on the side, and then we flipped on the top. So we were upside down. It flipped onto its top on the. That's how fast they were going. They were going really, really fast.
Jesus.
And I was turning left, so they clipped the back of the truck. I remember the car flipping on its side. I don't remember it flipping on its top, because when I opened my eyes, the fire department was already there.
Oh my
I blacked
God.
out. I got knocked out. So I apparently was the last person out of the car. Everyone was out, because what happened was I like woke up and I was upside down, and I was pinned against like the ground like this. And I thought I was dead initially. And then I realized, oh, I feel pain. I'm not dead. And then the first thing that popped in my head after that was, I'm paralyzed. And so I started moving my feet, and I was like, oh, I'm not paralyzed. And then I heard this voice behind me, this guy going, we gotta go, like that. And all I remember next was going like this, like slamming onto the ground, because he unbuckled my seatbelt. I was hanging from my seatbelt, like upside down. So I slammed onto the ground, and I crawled out of the back window, and then I like popped up. Everyone was unscathed. Everyone was everyone. The only thing that I walked out of that with was I bit my tongue. So I had like a sore tongue. I had like a sore tongue. No one got a cut, nothing. Everyone was.
Wow.
So what I found out later is that my drag mother was a witch.
Oh my God.
She's a Santa Muerte devotee.
Period.
So the howlite necklaces were blessed. They were protective amulets.
I was gonna say that. Wow. I was gonna say there's no way just wearing simple howlite, those had to have been enchanted or blessed or something. That makes sense. That's wild.
My drag mother was not in the car. My drag mother was in another car. My drag mother's husband was in my car. And I saw my drag mother running down the street. He goes, are you guys fucking okay? And we're like, everyone's fine. She goes, is everyone wearing their teeth? And we're like, yeah, everyone's wearing their teeth. And he goes, it's the fucking teeth.
Oh, that gave me chills. Oh my goodness.
Peter, I hope you listen, because Peter's still my friend. Peter, I hope you listen to this episode, because I still have my teeth. I've never gotten rid of them. I still have them. Isn't that incredible?
That is incredible. It makes me think of that Gaga song, Show Me Your Teeth.
Yeah, that was okay. So let me tell you a real, God, the synchronicities of this week. I swear to God. So the Gaga song "Teeth," right? You can edit this out if you want to, but that was one of like her trademark songs to perform. She would dress up as Elvira. Not Elvira. I'm sorry. She would dress up as Vampira, and she would have like a trick or treat bucket, the one that looks like a jack-o'-lantern, and she would hand out like those cheap plastic fangs that you get from like the Halloween store out to the audience, and she would do that song.
Oh, I love that.
I'll link you St. Peter DeVille's Instagram so you can, he posts a lot about like his altar. He posts his altar all the time, and you can see it. And that's when I realized, like, oh bitch.
Wow.
that was actually my first experience of actual face-to-face witchcraft. Was my drag mother.
I mean, that's terrifying that you had to like get in a flipped car accident, but the fact that like you got to experience that protection firsthand, because wow,
isn't that incredible? That
is incredible.
I'm sorry for the long-winded story, but I think it was appropriate for this time. And I knew you were going to love it because she is a Santa Muerte devotee.
Oh my God. And our mama watches out for us.
I knew you would love that story. But yeah, that was my story for the night.
No, thank you for sharing. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I love when we're able to like reflect or look back on a memory and be like, oh, yo, like Magick like saved my life or made this like, fucking amazing thing happen.
When you're blessed and you're incredibly lucky and you have a very powerful spiritual core behind you, you're a force in nature. I swear to God.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else before we get into workshop stuff? Because there are some things that I do want to mention to our listeners about some great things that are coming for us, for the Red Text Coven especially. Is there anything else that you feel folks would be a good idea to protect? Because I have one more thing that I feel like.
We talked about protecting the homes, protecting ourselves, protecting our spell work, protecting pets. If you have animals,
for sure.
Do something on their like collars or getting them some type of metal that you can enchant, because our furry friends are family. What did you have in mind?
How about protecting your bank account?
I have never thought of that.
Mm-hmm. So I recently just met up with Francisco, the Wicked Witch of LA, and they crafted a money spell, a money novena for me, and it's burning clean. Oh God, I was so happy. It's burning clean. It's burning clear as day. It's so clean. I was like, thank you, Francisco. You are the baddest bitch I know. But in that spell, I was telling them, I need you to, the part of this spell, I need you to protect my bank account. And when I say protect my bank account, I mean job security, making sure that the flow of money stays constant, right? I am extremely blessed and privileged to have an extremely secure job, which is healthcare. I work in healthcare. So it's something that it's not likely, I won't likely, knock on wood, God forbid, that I'll lose. But you never fucking know. You never know. Yeah. So protecting my finance, protecting my job so that I have job security, which is interesting because I was actually thinking about it. To protect my job, people need to get sick, and that sucks.
Well, it has to happen to somebody.
I know. It's an interesting dichotomy when you think about it. When you're in healthcare, to pray that your job stays secure and to pray that you have a good, you have good job security, people have to get sick.
Yeah.
It's part of the human experience, and I totally understand that. But if you like kind of flip it on its head, it's just like, yeah, but people are going to get sick and they have you to take care of them, So I was able to like kind of take myself out of that. I was able to talk myself down. So yeah. And then also, making sure that the money is made peacefully and with harmony. You know, you're not stressed and you're not with as much peace and harmony as possible. So yeah,
Totally.
protecting your finances, protecting your bank account. You can even do a really simple like candle spell over your credit card or your debit card. You know, that's a great way to do it.
We're gonna have to have a whole ass episode on money magic, to be honest.
Yeah. Ooh, putting a sigil, like drawing a sigil on a piece of paper, putting in your wallet. That's an easy way to do it, right?
I used to carry, I think it might still be in my wallet, a bay leaf. I think I had a bay leaf. Or I have a prosperity powder that I made during the full moon in Leo in 2021. And before I offer Santa Muerte money on her altar, I sprinkle the powder on it. Sometimes I'll rub it on my bill so money stays flowing. I don't remember the origins of this, but I remember reading it. I was doing it for the longest time since I work at a bank whenever I'd give customers their cash, but always folding money towards you before handing it away, so it always returns back to you.
Got so excited I choked on my spit. Yes, folding the money towards you. Yes. And also folding if you have a bifold wallet, folding your wallet towards you. Have you ever heard of that? Folding your wallet towards you so that the wallet stays full. And always making sure there's something in your wallet. That's like a superstition I've always grown up with, making sure that like $1, making sure there's always, and also there's that thing where we're veering off to something else, but like when you give someone a wallet, it can't be empty. It has to have some money in it.
Oh my God, I didn't know about that. My grandma gifted me a wallet she got me a wallet for Christmas and there was $1 in it.
Yeah, that's the reason why. Is your grandmother Filipino?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, whenever you give someone a wallet, you need to give them cash.
Okay, but can we also just talk about how like my grandma's not even like a bruja or like anything like that? Like I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, that's just a Filipino superstition, or I don't like the word superstition because it's folk magic, but yeah, that's exactly what it's a Filipino folk magic thing that if you give someone a wallet or if you give someone also, my mom, we need to have a conversation about just like the superstitions that my grandmother and my mom carry, because my mom will not let anyone put her bag on the floor.
Oh yeah, that's a big Mexican thing too.
Is it? Yeah. Because if your purse is low, if your wallet is low, your money will be low. Right. So and then also when we moved into this house, my grandmother gave my mom a bag of rice and a thing of salt and a jug of water.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
But you have to keep it in the back of your pantry. You never use it.
No, I haven't heard.
Yeah, you never use it. It's for prosperity. It's to keep the house prosperous.
Oh, there's a ritual. I can't remember where I read it. It was so long ago, but it was when you're moving into a new home or into a new place. The first thing you bring in is it's a bowl of rice, a glass of water, and it was something else. I don't think it was a bowl of salt, but there was a third thing, because it was three things. But again, it was the same premise of keeping prosperity in the home. So like you're bringing prosperity in the first thing. Yeah.
And then gifting money trees and housewarmings. Yeah. There's so many.
Okay, y'all got a sneak peek into our money episode whenever we record that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. But yeah. Okay, so is there anything else protection magic wise that you want to talk about? Because I think go ahead.
Yeah, just a little bit. Because again, since we are full Christian practitioners, I do want to drop some saints and some angels that one can work with for protection.
Good idea.
So obviously, if anyone out there is a Santa Muerte devotee, Santa Muerte is an amazing, probably one of the most amazing spiritual allies you could have in your life. Obviously, I'm going to say that because I love her with all my heart. Saint Michael, the archangel for protection. He's probably the most famous angel for protection, but also Saint Raphael. While he's more known for his protection while traveling, he's also just great at protection in general. And then outside of the angelic realm, Saint Benedict, and Saint Benedict's the one I think of for protection. And I know there's plenty more, but I'm having a total brain fart because I don't work with that many saints. Do you know saints off the top of your head that are good for protection?
No, because the only one I really work with heavily is Anthony. And I mean, if you really think about it, if you're working with Anthony, like, because Anthony is the finder of lost things, like, what if you can use like Anthony is like the finder of lost safety, so
Yeah.
that would actually work,
Yeah.
right? So like if you feel like you're in danger, Tony, look around, something's lost that must be found. And if that something's lost that must be found is your safety, then he'll find that for you.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, and speaking of Anthony and saints and stuff, Mary, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Our Lady of Sorrows for sure. Guadalupe for sure. Really, any epithet and aspect of Mary will be wonderful for protection. But Our Lady of Sorrows is a good go-to. W over at St. Anthony's Tongue on his page and podcast did a whole episode of Our Lady of Sorrows. Definitely recommend it. Check it out.
Wonderful. It's
So
wonderful.
so good. Who else?
Jesus. If you don't have, okay,
Jesus.
listen, if you're okay with working with Jesus, and I know a lot of people aren't, that's totally okay. But if you are working with Jesus, Jesus is a protector. He's a that sounded so like sarcastic when I said Jesus too. It's like Jesus. Jesus is the best. Jesus is the best. But Jesus, yes. Christ is a very fierce protector.
Absolutely.
He is also the protector of marginalized folks, because he was marginalized. He is the protector of people of color, because he was a person of color, and he's also I would say even the protector of folks who are wrongfully accused of something. So
Absolutely.
because
100%.
definitely was. So
But that's all the saints and angels that I wanted to drop, just because
Yeah.
I wanted to keep our vibe of our folk Christian practice up and running.
no, totally. And yes, and fierce protector is Michael. He is, the dude's a slayer of demons, you know what I mean? Slayer of, that is a fierce protector. And if you desperately need protection, Michael is your guy.
I would say Saint Joseph too, because he's also known as the terror of demons, but also just, he fathered Jesus. He was the foster father of Jesus, and as a father, he has that protective nature. So I haven't personally worked with Saint Joseph, but I just automatically know that he would make a wonderful, wonderful protector.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This is totally a tangent. Why do they always depict Joseph as being so fine? Why?
That's a good question. I don't know.
They always make Joseph look so good. Like he's so fine every single time.
Saint Joseph.
I know. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know. No, I'm just getting it off. My juice is flowing. We'll save that. We'll save that for our sex magic episode for sure.
Oh fuck yeah.
So yeah. So awesome. Protection, guys. First thing about protection is preventing things from happening in the first place, right? So get your wards up, make your wards really awesome, and most of the time you won't even need to do any defensive work in the first place.
Exactly. Just like you would wear a condom for safe sex, you need to cast your protection magic so you don't get a spiritual STI.
There you go, spiritual STIs. You heard it from the mestizo mystic himself. Stay away from spiritual STIs. Oh man. Okay. So
STDs, spiritually transmitted demons.
I can't with you tonight. STDs. There you go. Spiritually transmitted demons. Stay away from them. They are detrimental to your spiritual health. So do you have anything else? Do you have any other acronyms?
No, that's all I got.
No?
That's all I got in me.
Okay. So before we close out the episode, I think it'd be really important to know that Fonzie and Ryan have been working very, very hard to get our Patreon up and running. Now we actually do have our Patreon up and running, and we actually have content to produce for it. So we're going to be, like we've mentioned before, we have 4 tiers. One's a $5 tier, one's a $10 tier, a $15 tier, and a $20 tier. We are going to be producing early access video versions of our podcast episodes, which is going to be available on all tiers. We're going to be doing a rosary circle every month, which will also be available for all tiers. And we're also doing the live stream Q&A. Did you have fun in the live stream Q&A?
Oh, absolutely.
That was really fun, right?
That was really fun.
Yeah, I like talking to people. It was really, really sweet. So we're going to be doing that. Ryan, can we talk about the services that you're going to be providing on the Patreon for our future patrons?
Hell yeah. So I will be providing tarot readings. Now, this isn't custom one-on-one tarot readings. For that, you can book me through Instagram, but I will be providing basically readings for all of the zodiac signs for the month. And so obviously you can check your sun, moon, and rising. I'll be pulling about 3 or so cards per sign for the month of that Patreon. So you'll basically get kind of like a little overview and some guidance for what to be on the lookout during the month that we release that Patreon's tarot spread.
So that will be available for the top 2 tiers, which is the cherubim tier and the seraphim tier, which is the $15 tier and the $20 tier. For the lower 2 tiers, which is the $5 tier and the $10 tier, we're going to be offering the early access to the video version of our episodes, the Q&A, and the rosary circle for the bottom tier. For the second tier, what we're adding to that is a digital printout of one of my pieces of art, which will be mailed to you in the snail mail. So I'm going to need your mailing address, but I will be sending you a 8x10 of one of the pieces of art that I'll be producing probably every month. It depends on how inspired I feel that month. If I don't feel inspired to make anything, then I won't, and then you guys can't force me to do anything. You're still getting a lot more content in addition to that, but I will be producing digital art prints to send out to our patrons. And then also, in addition to that, our top 2 tiers will also be getting a spell and grimoire pages done by me, Witchalum Sente. So I will be producing either video instructions on how to do the spell, but also the grimoire pages that you can actually, like PDF versions of it, so that you can print it out. And in addition to that, for our top tier, our seraphim tier, which is limited to 10 patrons, Ryan and I are going to be sending you folks monthly spell kits, right? Is that what we want to do?
Absolutely, yeah. So rather than doing the magic for you, we want to empower you to be able to do the magic yourself. So we will be choosing likely novena candles, and then a select few herbs, possibly some oils as well, and instructions on how to do the spell for yourself. Because if you're subscribed to this podcast, you're more than likely interested in having, or already do have, a spiritual/magical practice. But the only way you're going to learn and grow in your practice is if you do the magic for yourself. So rather than us doing the magic for you, we're going to give you step-by-step instructions, which you can also feel free to adapt, as well as the ingredients and candle to perform the spell. So you can get into the hang, for those of you who don't do candle magic or want to but haven't done it before, can get into the groove of doing it for yourself and seeing how your results play out.
Right. So, and each candle spell is going to have some sort of theme. We're not going to like take special orders or anything like that. That's something that you need to talk to us separately about. But, 1 month it could be like a prosperity spell kit. Another month it could be a love spell kit, things like that. So, and you adapt it based on your own practice, so that we don't do the magic for you. You do the magic yourself. We want to make sure that we are empowering other witches to be able to do the magic themselves, because we're not here to do the magic for you. You know what kind of magic you need, so that is our Patreon, and we are so excited to offer these services and this content, and hopefully in the future grow and see where this takes us, because this is a very new way for us to kind of interact with our listeners. So we're kind of testing the waters a little bit.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited to do so, and to be able to, again, provide that empowerment for y'all, to, at least for those of you who subscribe to the Seraphim tier, to really, try your hand at magic.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so to be able to find us on Patreon, you can go on Patreon and search Red Text Coven. On Patreon, you can find all of our tiers there.
Absolutely. And I haven't added it yet, but I can add a link to it in the link tree in my Instagram bio, so you can easily find it there as well.
Yes, and it's on my link tree because the link tree is the Red Text Coven link tree. So if you go onto my link tree on my Instagram, which is witchalumicente, the Patreon is on that link tree. Okay, so yeah. Anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I mean, you mentioned you now have a Twitter.
Okay. All right, the Twitter is witchalumicente. Follow me if you want some bullshit. Listen, guys, I'm really funny, so I know that I can. Actually, it's so funny because Keanu actually messaged me today saying, "You've got a lot of nerve because, like, occultists on Twitter just scare me." And I was like, "Listen, they scare me too, but I'm really funny, so I think I'm just gonna weaponize my humor and just use that against them." So I think I'll be okay.
Yo, I'm telling you, it's the stupidest tweets I make that blow up with no intention. Like, I don't have the intention of them to blow up. Like I told you, I shit post on that fucking stupid bird app, and it's always like my most thoughtful, well-spoken post that get like 5 fucking likes. And then one time I posted a screenshot of this dude who I was hooking up with who texted me, and he's like, "Oh my god, you're like the first witch I've ever been with," and that got 500 fucking likes and like 200 retweets. I'm like, what the fuck?
Look, hold on. First, Ryan was probably not the first witch you've ever boomed. They just never told you. So that's probably what it was. They've been injecting you with their magical seed for a long time. So if you do want to find,
wait a minute, who's getting? I'm not getting injected.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them.
Okay, I was like, let's rewind it back.
I know. Ryan's the top. We get it.
I'm first. I'm versatile.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, we should get into this actually. That'd be really fun.
First top. But I only bought them for people I love.
Oh, that's sweet. I don't bought them for anybody. I don't know. There's something. Okay, we can get into this really quick. There's something about feeling submissive that I don't like. Is that weird?
I'm extremely versatile. Like I
really
both like choking someone out, but then like 2 seconds later, I'm like, okay, my turn.
No, see, that's fun. I like that. That's fine with me. I don't know. I think it's something that I need to deconstruct. We're going into something a little bit deeper. I think this.
let's unpack that live.
Like, can we unpack this? Can we unpack this really quick? Because I've been struggling with this for a long time. But I don't know. There's a feeling that I have when I'm like receiving that I don't like. I don't like it, and it's something. It's not physical. It's emotional. And I think it's attached to my trauma, to be honest.
It's those spiritually transmitted demons.
Yeah. You know what it is also? I think there's it's that feeling of relinquishing control where I feel like I'm receiving, I don't feel like I'm in control, which is strange because I know a lot of power bottoms that were just like, what the fuck are you talking about? I am always in control.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's just something that I need to unpack. But yes, my Twitter is witchalumicente, just like my Instagram. That's WITCHILUMICENTE. Witchalumicente. Follow me if you want some bullshit.
And y'all already know me on Instagram as the Mestizo Mystic, and on Twitter as just at Mestizo Mystic for my shit posting and sometimes hot takes.
Mm-hmm.
And with all that said, we will see you guys for our next Unholy Communion.